There are often large areas in our bathroom walls that are left unused. Why not maximize on that space for storage and deco at the same time? What if I told you that you can make your own functional bathroom storage cabinet by following a few quick and easy steps? And by treating the timber with the appropriate products, it will withstand the environment. Follow me, let me show you how. Start by measuring your timber and cut it to size. Now, pine is softwood, which makes it very easy to work with, but just make sure that you measure accurately before you cut. I'm using 2 sheets of 21mm pine shelving and cutting it according to this cutting list, which will accommodate these 350 by 270mm plastic jute boxes that I got from my local builders. I'm using a circular saw to cut the timber, and a clever trick here is to clamp a straight edge. This will ensure a straight cut. All the pieces are cut, so I've decided to cut a bit of a profile into the side panels, just to give it a bit of a design. Very, very easy. I'm going to freehand a curve onto the side. Measure 473mm from the top edge of the side panel. Make a mark. This is where the freehand curve will start, and the exact curve is up to you. I've bent a metal ruler to help get a consistent curve. Cut this out using a jigsaw, and once the first side panel is cut, trace and cut the second panel the same way. Once all the timber is cut, we're going to give it a light sanding with a 180 grit sandpaper to remove any surface contaminants from the storage, pencil marks and rough edges from the cutting. I've got all my pieces cut, sanded and dust free. I can now apply the stain and sealant. Now remember, this cabinet is going to be in the bathroom where there's moisture and humidity. So to give it the best protection possible, I'm going to seal it before the assembly. That means I can get the sealant into the joints as well. Fired Earth Woodworks is a stain and sealer in one. One application with 2 benefits. I've gone with a dark ebony color. The stain dries very fast, so ensure that you have even coverage across the timber as you work. Brush up on any run marks before they dry. Now you'll notice that I'm painting from the inside of the panel outwards towards the edge. This greatly reduces the chance of run marks. Remember to always paint with the grain. After the first coat has dried, you can apply a second coat. All the pieces are cut, sanded, stained and sealed. First coat applied, second coat applied, it's dry. So now it's time for the quick assembly. Now we're going to be putting it together by fastening the screws into the sides and into the back. Starting with one of the side panels, place a strip of off-cut timber, line it up with the edge and score a line on the inside. This will give you the correct timber thickness so the screws will line up with the edges. Then measure 300mm from the top down, score a line, and then position the offcut on this line and draw a second faint line parallel. This is the position of the first middle shelf. To position the bottom shelf, simply work off the corner edge where the curve is, then using the square to ensure it's straight. And repeat again with the offcut. Drill a pilot hole between these lines. Then flip the board over and recess the pilot hole with the screw pilot to accommodate the screw heads. The reason for this is to avoid having visible pencil marks on the outside of the cabinet. Do the same on both side panels. Apply a thin layer of wood glue to the mating surfaces and position the side panel on its short front side. Screw the shelves into place from the outside inwards. Now attach the opposite panel the same way. We're going to use wood glue on all of our joints. Any excess glue that squeezes out should be wiped off with a rag before it dries. I really find it useful to use a clamp to hold everything together. The cabinet is going to have space for 2 baskets that are going to have a center divider. Those 2 baskets will be supported by a middle shelf. Now we need to attach this onto the cabinet. To find out exactly where this sits, we are first going to have to find out the center of the middle shelf and the center at the top. Line those up and fasten it with the screws. Start by finding the center of the top shelf and score a line. This line is where you're going to drill your pilot holes. This will be for the vertical divider at a later stage. We also need to find the center of the middle shelf. Score a line and drill pilot holes along that line. Now, secure the middle shelf to the side panels by fastening it with screws into the pilot holes on the sides. Then, attach the vertical divider to the 2 shelves, being top and middle. The lower shelf, yes, you got it, same procedure as earlier. We can then position the rear panel in place and drill the pilot holes, then secure the panel to the cabinet. The cabinet is complete. Now I want to make this as functional as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and add towel hooks onto it. Now these towel hooks are supplied with the screws. Place the towel hooks in position and mark the screw holes. Drill a pilot hole and fasten it into place. And I'm using a hand screwdriver for this. I'm going to fill the screw holes with an ebony colored wood filler. Leave that to dry. Once dry, brush a thin coat of sealant over the wood filler to hide it. The cabinet can now be mounted. Ideally, you want to drill on the grout line or the intersection of the tiles. Less chance of cracking a tile. So by sticking some masking tape on your wall, mark where you want to drill. And then stick the masking tape on the rear of the cabinet and drill the holes with a wood bit. Drill slowly to avoid any blowout. I can then drill with the ceramic bit through the grout lines with no hammer function. And once I'm into the brickwork, change to hammer mode and drill the rest of the hole. I can then mount this with some large 8mm nailing anchors. And then fasten it into place using a hand screwdriver. There you have it, an aesthetic, functional bathroom storage cabinet that makes some clever use of space. I mean, this used to be a blank wall, but now I've got all the bathroom essentials within arm's reach. This is something that you can definitely knock together. And by treating it with the appropriate products, it can withstand the environment. Now remember, everything I've used today is available at Builders, in-store, or online at builders.co.za. And for more videos like this, check out the blog on the website. Get to Builders, get it done.